A very good morning to all of you. Today we will proceed with Act 1, Scene 2. The scene is set in Belmont, a room in Portia's house. Here you will be introduced to one more character, Nerissa. She is lady in waiting of Portia. Now, lady in waiting will be used by you while mentioning about Nerissa's part in the play. She acts as a friend to Portia. She is always guiding Portia regarding other matters. She's like a friend to Portia. So, in this scene, Portia is found to be in a melancholic mood. Okay, and why she is melancholic or why she is sad? The reason of her sadness is she cannot choose the person whom she likes and refuse the person whom she dislikes. Here, so many suitors have come to participate in the lottery of casket to win Portia. So, we will be having mainly 6 suitors from different part or from the 4 corners of the world who have come to participate in the lottery of casket. Uh, when the scene begins, Portia says to Nerissa, "By my troth, Nerissa, my little body is aweary of this great world." Portia speaks, "Honestly, Nerissa," she says, "I am honest in speaking to you, Nerissa. My little body is tired of this great world." She says that she is upset and she has been fed up with all the things that is happening in the world. Nerissa just says, "You would be, sweet madam, if your miseries were in the same abundance as your good fortunes are, and yet, for aught I see, they are as sick that surfeit with too much as they that starve with nothing." Nerissa says, "It's true, madam, you will be tired. Since you have many miseries, since you have a lot of difficulties and problems, than you have good fortunes. Yet, as far as I think, people who have too much," she says that people who have a lot of things are sick because of that, and they die of starving and ill by having people who have less. Okay, are ill and starving by having nothing with them. Here, Nerissa is trying to talk about 2 types of people, one who have enough, and the other who are dying of starvation. Then, further on, she says, "It is no mean happiness, therefore, to be seated in the mean. Superfluity comes sooner by white hairs, but competency lives longer." She says that it is not a good, or you can say it is not a bad fortune then, to be placed between the 2 extremes of having too much and too little. She says that it is not bad luck to be placed in the place where you have enough or you have less. The man who has too much wealth, okay, people who are very rich, okay, soon becomes gray haired. It is actually a philosophy that people know who have lot of money, their hair goes gray because of the pressure, or you can say a lot of things come in their mind regarding it. And people who have just enough wealth to live, enough sufficient to have food, water, and survival, lives longer. So Nerissa is just trying to give suggestion to Portia in these lines. Portia says, "Good sentences and well pronounced." Portia says that you have spoken good sentence, your words are well spoken. Nerissa, "They would be better if well followed." Nerissa says that if at all what I said is followed, then it would have been better. Portia further on says, "If to do were as easy as to know what were good to do, chapels had been churches and poor men's cottages, princes' palaces." Portia was here says that it is very easy to give suggestions to people. In reality, if it was so easy to know what is right and what is wrong, then the small places of worship, then chapels, would have become churches, here means that the small place of worship would have become a big place, and poor men's cottages, princes' palaces, and the poor men house would have changed into royal palaces, big buildings, big houses, if at all everyone would have followed the correct instruction. It is a good divine that follows his own instruction. See, you might have observed that suggestions are given by everyone, but who gives suggestion does not follow his own. So it is just said, uh, you might have seen no lot of priest philosophers giving preachings. Okay, so it is just said that if a preacher or if a priest is good who follows his own teaching, anyone who gives instruction is considered to be great if he follows his own instruction. I can easier teach 20 what were good to be done than be one of the 20 to follow mine own teaching. Understand this line. It is very easy, okay, to make 20 people, 30 people sit in front of you and start preaching, start saying things. But to follow it on personal basis becomes difficult. The brain may devise laws for blood, but a hot temper leaps over a cold decree. Understand this. The mind, no, our mind makes lot of laws, lot of rules for our body, but the heart of desire overpowers such dry laws. Try to understand this. What happens, no, our mind has a lot of thoughts, how to act, what rules should be followed, how we should justify our things, but our heart intervenes in between, comes in between, and all those rules made by mind goes away. It is only because but a hot temper leaps over a colder degree, because in youthfulness, the impulse of youth, when we are young, no, we are hot blooded, and because of that we go on skipping good suggestion. If somebody is trying to give us good advice, no, good suggestion, we skip it because the heart rules over the head. Okay, such a here is madness, the youth. It is only because of the aggressiveness or impulsiveness of young age, to skip over the measures of good counsel, to just forget about the instructions given or the counsels or the advice given by the learned people. We just skip it, we cripple it. It's written, no, skip the measures of good counsel, the cripple. But this reasoning is not in the fashion to choose me a husband. Portia says, but in this way, okay, I cannot choose a husband. This is she justifies herself by saying all these things, that she cannot mess over, or she cannot hurry over, or she cannot get over a husband. Oh me, the word choose. I may neither choose whom I would nor refuse whom I dislike. So is the will of a living daughter curbed by the will of a dead father. I hope you are able to make it out. She says that, oh, what a word is to choose, because she cannot choose the one she likes nor refuse the person whom she dislikes, because her wishes, her desires are controlled by her dead father. I've already told you in the introduction that Portia's deceased father has devised a lottery of casket, and whosoever, anyone, if chooses the correct casket, Portia will have to marry that person only. So she is melancholic that she cannot go for the individual whom she likes and refuse the person whom she dislikes. Okay, because her desires are controlled by the will of a dead father. Is it not hard, Nerissa, that I cannot choose one nor refuse none? She further on says that it is very hard for me, Nerissa. She is speaking out her heart. She says that it is very difficult for me, Nerissa, that I can neither choose nor refuse a husband. I can neither choose someone or refuse someone. So, gist of the things, Nerissa, as I have already told you, that has always been a good friend and a great advisor to Portia. So, in a manner of advice, Nerissa speaks the lines ahead. She says, "Your father was ever virtuous, and holy men at their death have good inspirations. Therefore, the lottery that he had devised in these three chests of gold, silver, and lead, whereof who chooses his, meaning chooses you, will no doubt never be chosen by any rightly, but one who shall rightly love. But what warmth is there in your affection towards any of these princely suitors that are already come?" Now understand this. Nerissa says, "Your father was a holy man. He was pious. Okay, and such good men like your father have inspirations at their death. It's their experience which gives them inspiration. The lottery which he has devised, okay, which are in three caskets, gold, silver, and lead, in which the one who makes the correct choice will marry you." She says that I have no doubt that you will be chosen by the correct person whom you will truly love. Do you have any special love? She asked that so many suitors have come. That do you have any affection or any love for all these suitors who have come to participate in the basket? Okay, Portia, I pray thee, overname them, and as thou namest them, I will describe them, and according to my description, level at my affection. Portia says, "Please name them over. One by one, you name them, and I shall comment what my likes and dislikes are. And according to my comments, you may conclude about my affection or my love for them." Okay, Nerissa says the first prince, there is the Neapolitan prince. Nerissa says that the first, there is the prince for Naples. He has come from Naples. Portia's reply is so funny as she says, "Ay, that's a colt indeed, for he doth nothing but talk of his horse, and he makes it a great appropriation to his own good parts that he shall shoe him himself." Colt is a wild young horse. Okay, so the moment Nerissa says Neapolitan prince, Portia immediately says, "Yes, yes, he is like a wild young horse. He does nothing but talk of his horses. He does nothing except talking about his horses. Besides, he takes it as a matter of great interest or great merit that he can shoe them." Shoe them means he can control them. Okay, he can train them. Nerissa then takes the name of the second prince who is there. Then there is County Palatine. Okay, Nerissa says then there is an other person who has come from Germany and he is Palatine Count. Portia says he doth nothing but frown. Immediate reaction is he only frowns. As who would say, "And you will not have me choose." She says that if you do not want me, choose anyone you wish, I do not care. And you will, like, he hears merry tales and smiles not. She says that he listens to all interesting good stories, but never laughs, never smiles. I fear he will prove the weeping philosopher when he grows old, being so full of unmannerly sadness in his youth. He says, I fear he will be a sad philosopher when he becomes old, since he has such unpleasant happiness in his young age. Although he is young, he listens merry tales and never laughs. Uh, I doubt whether he will be a happy person when he will grow old, because he is full of so much unhappiness in young age. I had rather be married to a death's head with a bone in his mouth than either of these. She says, I should marry a grinning skull. Okay, skull, all of you know, no? So he says that it's better for me to get married to a dead skull with a bone in its mouth rather than marrying both these person, that is County Palatine and Neapolitan prince. God defend me from these two means God protect me from both of them. I will end this session now itself. Continuation of this will be given in the next class. So go through it. I hope you will like it. Thank you.